I'm here with the next speaker, and you are going to love it because we're going to be talking about how to build momentum and get results. So go grab your coffee and get ready for this. Get your pen and your paper out because you're not going to want to miss a minute. Let's get started as soon as we have a quick commercial here. We're going to be back. Awesome. So we are back here now, and we are with Gretchen Richards, who you are going to love. She's going to be talking about how to build momentum and get results. She is passionate about improving small business success rate, and she brings years of knowledge and experience. She's worked at Fortune 500 companies and small businesses and brought support to entrepreneurs for a long time now. So, she's someone who knows that starting a business is hard. There's a lot to figure out. So, Gretchen, let's put our hands together for her right now. Woo-hoo! And say thanks. So, Gretchen, tell us, how do we build momentum? How do we get results in the business? How do we move things forward?
Well, I think one of the big obstacles that everyone is facing today is that there are marketers out there that literally are getting paid billions and billions of dollars to get your attention. And if we don't have a clear idea of what it is we're trying to do and clear practices to keep us focused on those, our attention is going to be grabbed by social media, by advertising, by breaking news, by text messages, by all the different things that get into our way. So clarity and focus are step one.
Awesome. Well, let's get some clarity and focus and show us how to build some momentum and get results.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, as I was saying, in today's world, it is so easy at the end of the day to feel like, I've just been on this treadmill going 100 miles an hour and I don't feel like I got anywhere today. And a lot of that has to do with just being pulled in so many different directions or having too many distractions. Like I said, people are literally paying billions and billions of dollars a year to people to grab your attention and to have it focused on what they want you to be focused on, not what you want to be focused on. And that can just lead to feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we have all these obligations and demands on our time and that there just is never enough time to get everything done. We have this to-do list that just seems endless. Like every time we get something off of it, it seems like there's 2 more things that have been added to it. And it can be disheartening and overwhelming. And what happens is the things that really are our priorities, they just don't get done. As I mentioned, the distractions are social media, it's TV, it's news, it's podcasts, it's internet. There's never been so much information available to people as there is now. And then you have the phone, these little devices that we carry everywhere with us, right? There's text messages, there's emails, there's calls. They're constantly like dinging with things going off. And it's very easy when you have an action that maybe is uncomfortable, something you have never done before, to think, well, let me just pop over to social media and just check it just for like 5 minutes. And then the next thing you know, 40 minutes has passed and you didn't get anything done. So then deadlines start to move. You're finding it hard to hold yourself accountable. You start getting down on yourself. You're not really sure what to do to get yourself sort of back on track. And, where does all this time go? The average daily use of social media, it's over 2 hours a day people spend on social media, just sort of scrolling through things, consuming. And for TV and videos, it's over 3 hours, at least in America. Maybe Canadians are better than we are. But in America, it's over 3 hours a day watching TV. And emails, it's 2 to 3 hours on average. And then text messages, we can spend over an hour or up to an hour looking at text messages on our phones. So what does that mean about your goals? Well, it's no surprise with all those distractions and stuff that only 8 to 19% of people succeed on their yearly goals. And 70% of people do struggle with procrastination. And 30% struggle with just the lack of clarity of what their goals really are. So from a business standpoint, that's a good chunk of why 20% of businesses fail in their first year and 50% fail by year 5. And I know when I first saw that stat, I was like, oh, that can't be right. That's way too high for businesses to fail. It has to be lower than that. Then I started my own business and I realized just how hard it is. And I realized that stat is actually probably very true. So to give you a little bit about my background, coming out of school, I was a computer science and math major. And if you've ever known computer science majors, we're very goal-oriented. And I had a good career in corporate, building teams, building systems, building processes. I was really fortunate to start at a few companies when they were just putting teams and things together, and really helped build them out. I've helped grow a couple small businesses as much as 10x in 4 years, helping one company go from 17 people to 170 over 4 years. And I was always the go-to person. If a project needed to be done on time, on budget, they gave it to me. If a project was going south and customers weren't happy and someone needed to come in and save it, they gave it to me. And I would go in and I would get it turned around and I would get it brought in as best as possible. And so I really thought starting my own business would be easy. I spent years working for small companies and I didn't think it would be that different. And I was really wrong, because when I started my own business, I had no structures, I had no systems, I had nobody holding me accountable but me. And progress, it was slow. I was letting myself miss deadlines. And that caused me to get really discouraged because that was not at all in alignment with who I thought I was. And because I got so discouraged, it was hard to stay motivated. It was hard to be disciplined and focused. I really, really struggled. I had kind of like this identity crisis, and I found I was losing my confidence, which was causing me to kind of hide. I would do safe things, like behind the scene things, like I'd work on my website, or I'd work on documents, or I'd, put different concepts or strategies together, but I was not putting myself out there. I was not getting in front of prospects. I was not doing the things I needed to do to really move my business forward. And so, like, what to do? I know I needed to turn things around, but honestly, I was embarrassed to ask for help because this was something I was supposed to be really good at. I was supposed to be the go-to person. And so I just invested in a bunch of different programs. I invested in personal development and marketing and sales and a ton of different things. And some of them gave conflicting information. Some of them gave really high level kind of theoretical information that while it was good, it was hard to know how to act on it. And then other people would give really specific, detailed information for one area. And it was hard to see how all the different pieces came together. And so it took me a long time. I mean, I did eventually figure it out, but it took way longer than I probably should have. But I did figure it out, and I did get the confidence to take the action and to start getting the results. But it was probably a lot more painful and a lot lengthier process than it should have been, which is why I put this class together. I don't want people to have to go through what I went through. I want to help you build that momentum and get the results a lot faster. And so there's 4 things to really look at in that. First is clarity on results. Really, where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? And then building the confidence to take the action and having the community to really support and encourage you so that you keep taking the action and keep going through the hard times. So let's look at all of those. For direction, it's really important to figure out what's in your heart, right? I mean, we all have things that our parents want us to do, or that our friends are doing that look good that maybe we should be doing too. There's lots of ways to compare ourselves to other people, but we really need to step back and what's in your heart? What is it that you want to do? What is the direction? And especially as entrepreneurs, we are really not just creating a business, but we're creating a lifestyle. Because you, as the entrepreneur, you get to make the rules. You get to decide what your work hours are. You get to decide how you're going to integrate your work with the rest of your life. You're going to decide where you work, how you work, all those different things. So it's more than just sort of what's the direction of your business. It's really what's the direction of the lifestyle that you want you want to build. You want to take kind of a holistic view of it and think about business, family, friends, finance, how you're going to get some fun and adventure in there. I mean, because a lot of times we're starting our own business so that we have the freedom to do the things we really love. And so we need to bake that in as well, and as well as personal growth. And so behind all of that, you want to know the why of why do you want it, right? I mean, a lot of people will be like, I want, $10 million, but then you ask them like, well, why? What are you going to do with it? And you have to kind of unravel it. I mean, $10 million in and of itself isn't actually very motivating. It's knowing that you want it to be able to do something with it. That is the true motivation. So, and that true motivation is what's going to help keep you going through the hard times. So it's really good to have it written down somewhere that you can pull out when you're feeling low and kind of kickstart yourself back in the motivation cycle. And now I want to tell you a little bit about Frank. Frank is somebody I was working with like about 5 or 6 years ago now. And he had a successful business, communications company. But he said he was just felt like he was going through the motions, that he wasn't really motivated or energized. It was just sort of, same year after year. And he was feeling a bit stuck. And I really worked with him on some of his longer term goals, looking 10 years out. And he had this real aha moment where he realized that in 10 years, he wanted to be retired. And that if he wanted to reach that goal, he needed to start now doing things differently and putting a strategy in place to remove himself from some of the day-to-day operations so that if he left, the value would still be in his company. And he got like re-motivated and re-energized because he had this new goal. And I found out recently he just sold his company. So I'm very happy for him. He's going to stay there for a year and then retire. So planning, there's a famous Benjamin Frank thing that says failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you're not intentional about what it is you want to do and how you want to do it, you're just much less likely to actually do it and to actually get it done. And so kind of having that plan and knowing the steps that you want to take is just critical to success. Now with planning, especially entrepreneurial planning, there's really 2 types of things that we do. One is to decide planning on where do you want to go. And that's really your vision and your direction. And that's something that shouldn't change too often, right? You shouldn't say one day, oh, I want to be a hairdresser. Oh, no, wait, maybe I want to be a nurse. Oh, no, wait, maybe I want to be an engineer, right? I mean, because then you're just kind of all over the place and scattered. You really need to stop and get the clarity of the direction. And then that direction might tilt a little bit this way or tilt a little bit that way, but you shouldn't be like a sharp left turn or a sharp right turn unless something has really significantly changed in your world. But the planning, how do I get there? That's where there's going to be a lot of sort of change. There's going to be a lot of sort of testing, evaluating, adjusting, and then keep going. It's a different thing, especially in the entrepreneurial world. And so one of the things that I really realized in starting my own business was one of the mistakes I made is I was trying to plan too far out. Because in the corporate world, you can plan further out. You have a lot of structure, you have a lot of knowns, a lot of things are sort of fixed. But in the entrepreneurial world, there are just so many unknowns and so many things that you haven't figured out yet that you really can't plan that far out as far as what steps you're going to take, especially if you're just starting out, because you're learning so much with each step and you're going to be so much smarter about how to get things done in the future that you don't want to plan too far out. Things will change before you even get there. So like if you might know in this picture that you want to get to that distant mountain range, right? And you want to keep that focus and keep that direction on your compass. You know you want to go east, right? But you don't need to know how you're going to get around the trees on that far mountain range. You just need to know, how am I going to get around the trees that are in front of me right now? And so your planning of next steps and stuff is much shorter in an entrepreneurial world than you might be used to in a corporate world. Now, in planning stuff out, you want to not reinvent the wheel. You want to see what is a proven approach? Because that's going to increase your odds of success. And if you don't have a proven approach, because this is new stuff, a lot of times entrepreneurs are doing things that they've never done before, right? If you need to create a web page and you've never done it before, then go find out what makes a web page successful, right? You can do research. You can ask AI, what are the main components of a successful website for this type of business? You can ask other people who have done it before. You can just go out and Google other sites and see what they've done. There's training, there's books, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of information out there. So it's really important for the things that you're trying to do to not reinvent the wheel. And when you're coming up with your plan, don't forget to plan fun and relaxation, right? Try to have at least one activity a week where it's just you having fun. It's something that's going to help increase your energy and keep your emotions high. Because as the entrepreneur, you're the one bringing the energy to your business. You're the one bringing the motivation and the excitement and everything. And if you are just beating yourself up and running yourself into the ground and burning yourself out, you are not going to have the energy that it takes to create the business that you want. So, make sure you're giving yourself time to have fun and develop your relationships with people and recharge your energy, because it's going to be critical to your success. And don't think of it as slacking off. It's actually critical to your success. So what I'm going to suggest from a planning standpoint, because we do want this shorter thing, is that at a minimum, every week, I want you to plan your week out. I want you to pick at least 3 actions that you're going to complete by the end of the week that will help move you closer to the goals and help get you the results you want. And then I want you to block time for them on your calendar. And then put how you're going to reward yourself at the end of the week if you get them done. And it doesn't have to be a big reward. It could just be like you're going to go dance around the room with music on, like nobody, is watching, and just high five yourself and have a good celebrate the success that you did. Whatever works for you. But 3 goals, it's really important, because if you continue to do 3 things every week, week after week, that's going to help really build that sense of momentum, and it's going to help give you some confidence, right? Because we need confidence to take some of these uncomfortable actions and do things that we've never done before, which is, hey, what you signed up for when you became an entrepreneur. And the way I want you to sort of look at doing those uncomfortable actions is that, there's a lot of talk about like your comfort zone, and we all have this comfort zone of things that we know that we're good at. And people are always like, get out of your comfort zone. I don't want you necessarily to get out of your comfort zone, but I want you to push the boundaries of your comfort zone. So I want you to be like right at the edge of your comfort zone, pushing it a little bit further, because the goal is to expand your comfort zone so that it has all of these extra things in it that now are just easy for you to do, because you have improved your skills, you've improved your habits, and you've just, improved your mindset that this is now something that was hard for you a year ago, but now piece of cake, you've mastered it, right? So, and if you try to jump too far out of your comfort zone to something that's like really not what you would do, 1, you're much less likely to do it. And 2, you're more likely not to be successful at doing it. So taking these kind of smaller incremental steps outside your comfort zone where you're just pushing the boundary, I think is a better mental picture of what you need to do as an entrepreneur. Now let's look at ways that you can take confidence building actions. So let's say you had to give a speech in front of people, and that is not something that you're used to doing. It's like a number 1 fear of people. They fear that more than death in some cases, right? You've all heard that statistic. So, whenever you have something that you don't feel confident in doing, think about, what can I do to make myself better prepared, and how can I practice? So if you had to give a public speech, what can you learn? Can you learn how to move across the stage effectively? Can you learn how to, what are the pieces of a good speech? Can you learn different techniques for memorizing your speech so that you won't forget it? Can you learn different techniques of what to do if you do have that like momentary pause where you can't remember what the next thing you were going to say is and how to cover for it. There's lots of things that you can learn and prepare so that you'll feel more confident when you get on that stage. And then, of course, we really learn by doing. So you have to practice. So if you could, have a speech and you could walk around your living area and practice it, you're going to feel more comfortable delivering it. And then if you can practice it in front of people that can give you educated feedback and mentoring, so you can make sort of small adjustments and stuff, you can really see these things like take on, move up to the next level and become more mature. And that's going to give you even more confidence. So always think about those two things. How can I prepare better and how can I practice? And I know it seems kind of common sense, but trust me, I have been there and I have not thought of doing these two things. So it may be common sense, but it doesn't necessarily come to you in the moment. And, what impacts confidence? Like, why are we not confident in the first place? One is discouragement, right? I mean, I was talking about how I was discouraged because I was letting things slip and that just wasn't like me. And the other one is fear. So let's talk about those two things. So the secret to overcoming discouragement is to be future focused. And the reason is discouragement usually comes from somebody looking at the past, right? Like I was looking at the fact that I was missing deadlines and I was beating myself up for it. So discouragement can really come from, being hard on yourself for things that didn't go well in the past. And if you can switch that and let that go and not shame yourself and not feel guilty and just focus on what can you gain by doing these motions, then that can totally shift your focus. And the story that I want to tell you for that is I heard this one person talking about how he had a physical exam and the doctor said, you need to come in. I need to talk to you about your heart. And that got him like really nervous. So he goes into the doctor's office and he's like, what were the results? What were the results? Why did you call me in? And the doctor wouldn't tell him anything about the results, but the doctor just started asking him questions. And he's like, so, you've got 2 young kids, right? He's like, do you want to be at your son's graduation? Do you want to be the one walking your daughter down the aisle? You live in a nice house with your wife. Do you want to be the one having breakfast with your wife in that house? And the guy's like, oh my God. I was like, what's wrong with my heart? What's wrong with my heart? Right. And he told him like, you got to change your diet. You got to exercise. You got to do these things. But what the guy had done was built this leverage. And the guy telling the story said like when he wanted to skip that morning workout, he thought, I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. And then he would make himself go do the workout. So he wasn't thinking about, oh, I don't want to go to the workout because, last week I didn't do very well and the weights seemed really heavy, right? All that is just by the wayside. He's focused on the future and being there for his family. So, it doesn't have to be necessarily that drastic life or death, but, think about the future that you want and keep that in mind as opposed to looking at the past. And then what about fear? Because holding negative, limiting, fearful thoughts in your head it just kills your confidence. You're not going to be motivated. You're not going to take action. The fear will just stop you. And so let's look at how you can kind of reframe those fears. Because usually there's 3 types of fears. There's fear of failure, fear of hardship, or fear of success. And you can have all of them at the same time. I certainly have had fear of failure and fear of success at the same time. So fear of failure is really you focusing on what could go wrong. And if you catch yourself having those thoughts, flip it and start thinking about what can go right and all the good possible outcomes, right? It's about being optimistic, about getting the good wins and, looking at what could go wrong and taking care of it. Doing things you can to mitigate those risks, that's fine, but don't wallow there. You really wallow in what can go right and really envision that wonderful future because what you focus on grows. So focus on the good things. Don't focus on the bad things. And the same thing for like fear of hardship. A lot of times people don't take action because they think it's going to be too hard or too long or they don't think they're capable of it. And instead, really think about, like, I might not be capable of it now, but I'm going to grow into this. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to build that muscle. I'm going to do those heavy weights until I get the muscle. Think about the skills and expanding that comfort zone so that you're this bigger, stronger version of yourself. And then fear of success. You think it won't last, or you think maybe it won't live up to the expectations. Throw those aside and think about the impact that you can have on not only your customers, but on your family members. When you really have success, you can be that role model to show them the way, and all the different things that you want in getting the success that you're looking for. Focus on that. Again, what you focus on is what expands. So you really, it's so easy to get sucked onto the negative side, but we really have to kind of make ourselves stay focused on the positive side. Now, to build momentum and to build confidence, you really need to take consistent daily action towards your goals. Because once you see yourself taking the action, it's going to build confidence. And once you do it consistently, you're going to start seeing yourself as that disciplined person. You're going to start seeing yourself as a successful entrepreneur, right? And so why are these steps so important? It's because of this feedback loop. As you take actions, your confidence grows. Because you're doing stuff, you're gaining skills, you're saying, yes, I'm in the arena, I'm fighting, I'm taking the action. And then as your confidence grows, you're willing to take more action. You're willing to push that comfort zone out even a little bit further. So it's a really important feedback loop, and you can always build your confidence by taking the action. Even if the action isn't successful, you still tried. And then community. You really want to find like-minded people who are doing something similar to you. It'll help you reach for even bigger goals. It helps you share your plans and ideas. It helps boost your confidence. It gives you support and encouragement. And when you can see other people doing things that you want to do, it's just a game changer. It makes it real. It makes you think, oh yeah, I can do that too. They're doing it. And then support. Think ahead of time what your support you're going to need. And typically you're going to need emotional support and business support. So who's going to just pick you up when you're down in the dumps as a friend? And who's going to be there to give you advice when you can't figure out how to do something in your business? And it could be the same person, it could be different people. But the more you can put that in place before you need it, the better. And here's a quote about the power of community. It says, "He who masters the power formed by a group of people working together has within his grasp one of the greatest powers known to man." I mean, the power of the group, it really is exponential. It's not just multiplying. It's amazing. So it's really up to you to decide to take command and to no longer accept working on other people's priorities, to stop feeling frustrated, stuck, and overwhelmed, and to refocus on clear goals that you have. Feeling like there's not enough time is something you just want to leave in the past. And so the gifts I have for you today is for all the attendees, free. There's a 2-hour planning session called Busy But Not Moving Forward. Let's change that. It's valued at $147, but for coming to the summit, it is yours free. And then for the VIP attendees, I have a 6-week online training program called SOAR. And for the first 3 people that sign up, you get it for only $47. And it's valued at $997. So to give you a little more information about those, let's change that. We're going to get clarity on your direction. We're going to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset, and we're going to talk about ways to take action. It's a 2-hour planning session that's really going to help set you up to have an amazing 2026. And then the SOAR program, SOAR stands for, the S stands for structure and strategy and structure. The O stands for objectives and obstacles, and the A stands for actions and achievements. And the R is for results and resiliency. So it's a great program, and I really hope a few of you take advantage of it. Here we go. So the SOAR program, it's really for financial lifestyle freedom without the overwhelm and burnout. And there is the acronym and what it stands for. It is a 6-week online video training and 6-week coaching calls. And you get an online community where you can get support and get answers, not only from the community, but from me as well. So here's my contact information, and the gift links are available on the dashboard. And it's up to you to decide. Are you going to take command and make today day one, or are you going to push off what you want to one day in the future? So thank you, Terry. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. I'm just gonna share a couple more of these links here for us as well. So we got Gretchen's contact information there and how to text her. So make sure that you make note of that. Get out your phone, take a picture of this or screenshot it so that you can come back to it later. I'm going to add up on the top corner here. I'm adding into the thing there, our QR code to register for the summit, because when you register for the summit, you get the free gifts that she was talking about. There is a free gift offer and a link for that when you register for the summit, and hers is called Busy But Not Moving Forward. Let's change that. So, you have access to that by registering. So you want to make sure that you do that step. I'm going to just throw that up here. The little banner for that, because that's the name of the gift, like so. And that's free just when you register. When you hit that little QR code and you register, you get access to that. But then there is the VIP offer that she recommended as well, which has to do with her SOAR program. And there's like an hour worth of training on the SOAR program that is right in the back end for the VIP.
Yes.
And you'll have access to that when you register.
Can I talk about that for a second? So,
yeah,
so the SOAR program, it's a 6-week program, and each week has 4 videos, and they're all about 15 minutes. And so what I'm doing for your community, because I love you and I love your community, is giving you the first week of videos for free for the VIPs. So it'll be the beginning of the strategy. So it'll really help them kind of assess where they're at and start building out their future vision. So those videos will be free. And then if they would like to continue on and do the other 5 weeks, it's the $47.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is register using the QR link right away if you're not already registered, so that you can access the free level, and then you'll see the VIP offer. It will come up as well. And then you can grab that. And there's a lot of other things that come with the VIP offer. You'll see on the end of these videos, there's always somebody else adding something else to the VIP offer. There's about 35 hours of training in the VIP offer for various different things for business owners, including strategy, marketing, and a variety of other helps. So you're going to want to watch along for that. Anyways, we're very excited. Thank you so much for being with us today, Gretchen.
You're welcome. You always have amazing guests. Your speakers always have amazing gifts. I've taken advantage of many of them in the past. So
yeah, when we've had some pretty big ones, and I know that this time we've actually got, it's more than 35 hours, because there's 35 hours in a sales training program that is back there too. The sales mastery is going to be part of the VIP for the last time, this time at this summit only. So 35 hours of sales mastery as well as in that VIP gift. So it's really worth the $97 to grab the VIP. Yeah, it's going to be lots of good stuff there for entrepreneurs and soulpreneurs and business owners of all kinds to be learning from, salespeople, and getting the most that they can. So you're going to want to stay tuned for the next speaker that's coming up. Turn your device on today to watch the entire series today. And the summit runs for 3 days. So turn your things on, like maybe your TV, your YouTube channel on TV or on your phone, and turn it on and let it play. And just watch all of the different ones in the series, or come back to it later throughout the day and watch them, because there's so much good stuff being shared here at the Kickstart Summit, and you do not want to miss a minute of it. And we'll be back shortly. All right, we'll be back shortly with our next speaker. All right, talk to you soon.
Thank you, Carrie.